Level 1, Orientation. The first space above the Waterfall of Being is orientation. Arriving there is similar to moving to a new city and beginning to get your bearings. You generally understand how life works in this new environment, and you begin to act appropriately. Instead of being driven to protect your personal identity, you start to consciously align with being. You redirect your focus so that being is the organizing principle of your life. Being is the revelation of conscious light in this universe. As you move into awareness, you observe activities, including conversations in your own mind, without attacking and defending. You identify your feelings, needs, and standards, and recognize their origin. You take responsibility for your actions and reactions, and you set aside your personal pride and insecurities. You become tuned to your conscience and develop awareness of the space, which is the field where activities occur and are possible. You delve deeper into honesty and integrity, which results in deeper and higher realizations. As you focus on aligning with the structures of being, you assist in maintaining well-being by recognizing the flows of the space. Basically, you learn to read energy. Everything is energy, and the flow of energy produces results. Operating appropriately to the space means seeing how people's beliefs, moods, and other activities are working separately and, more importantly, together. You learn to recognize impediments that affect the flow of energy, such as lying to yourself and others. The overall result of your alignment with being is harmony. The ability to consciously connect with being at will requires commitment and practice. In your practice, you learn to locate and reside in the stillness or the silence. You learn to use language consciously, to accurately identify concerns, and to replace dualistic criticism such as good, bad, and better than, less than, with conversations about effective action. Effective action addresses concerns and promotes well-being. As you hone your abilities, you spend less and less time in frustration, confusion, and blame. If you are serious about learning, you generally spend 1 to 3 months in orientation. If you are inattentive, you languish. The universe does not force you to progress. It is up to you to decide when to listen to conscience and when to take action. While you do not have to continue, there are consequences for not going when called. Consequences include feeling limited instead of fulfilled. Challenges as you progress. Staying grounded. Your view of yourself and your world is changing, and you may feel untethered as you look for new reference points. To stay grounded, know that this world is not an illusion. This is a world where things appear and disappear according to the law of thought. The point of this life is not to be somewhere else or to discount this experience as fake. The point is to learn through the opportunities at hand. Maintaining stillness. Living in society with its attendant distractions is challenging. This is why some people retreat to solitude and spiritual communities. Give yourself time and space to integrate what you are learning. We all need time to rest and reflect. Stabilizing. While you are getting oriented to this new space, you may visit your old life on occasion. You are sometimes still swayed by your personal desires and fears and by collective beliefs and moods. With practice, you can learn not to get ensnared by the drama. For example, you can witness chaos without becoming chaotic. You can observe disorder without becoming disorderly. The key is to practice compassion, which means being able to enter into conversations without needing to change or control what is not yours to change and control. Developing clarity. Compassion is not the same as passivity. Sometimes effective action is not sweet and gentle. Sometimes it is swift and decisive. For example, effective action involves setting clear boundaries so you can continue your progress. which may mean releasing people who are stagnant or disruptive. Encountering visitors. You may meet people who are visitors above the waterfall of being. They may know they are operating differently from how they did before, but they do not know why. When they are content, going at their own pace, they may not welcome your interference. If someone is harmoniously in the flow of life one moment, and then clearly upset and disrupted the next, likely they are not stabilized above the falls. If a teacher does not like to be questioned, that can be a sign that they are just visiting and cannot articulate the activities of being. Knowing what is happening alleviates confusion and disappointment. Maintaining perspective. Experiencing oneness and harmony does not make you or anyone else more special than you already are. While awareness of being can produce incredible highs, reaching such a state does not exempt you or anyone else from ethics and morals. You are not the chosen one just because you have experienced the power, wonder, and wisdom of being. Everyone is called and everyone is chosen. If some choose not to go, do not take that personally. Just keep minding your own internal light. Moving into new spaces can be challenging. Just as in other aspects of life, an experienced guide can help you navigate to make your journey easier. As you progress, your work will be revealed to you, and all that you need to fulfill your duties and responsibilities will be made available to you. Level 2, Residency. Progressing into the second space above the waterfall of being is like becoming a citizen of a country instead of just being a tourist. You understand the culture, and you know your way around to a sufficient degree. Results emerge through you more naturally, including results that seem highly synchronistic to others. You feel at home and comfortable above the waterfall of being. You operate with much less personal focus than before, and you often meet the moment with grace and ease. You are now operating properly with the space of being. You are taking action that is proper to the space. You are consciously aware of affecting the space of operation. You are aware that your conduct produces results. Frequently, you act with congruency, consistency, and coherency within your sphere of operation, which means you live in the flow of life. You understand the relationships of entities, and you are integral to the movement of energy within the space of those relationships. You progress energy patterns effectively, and the energy you move through the system becomes part of the sphere of operation. You know you are acting in cooperation with universal forces and not by your own personal means and methods. When you live in residency above the waterfall of being, you are aware that consciousness is expressing through you and as you. You become aware that you are listening to conscience, and that your conscience is your divine connection between your human being and your spiritual being. Your personal foibles, pitfalls, and prejudices are minimized. Instead, you connect with being, which is continually emerging from Source, eternal consciousness, the unbounded is. This is the stage at which you are traditionally considered a guru or a luminary. In business and the arts, you are considered a master in your field. Designers whose creations feel natural, intuitive, wholesome, compelling, and revelatory are producing results from this level of being. Their name or their brand becomes synonymous with a design, a fashion, a movement, an art area, or an innovation. The further along you are on your journey, the more distant you become from your former life. People below the falls may find you aloof, disinterested, or even condescending. You find that you enjoy your own company more than you enjoy interacting with tedious people. If you feel lonely at this point, know that the narrowing of the way is part of the process. As you continue to connect with oneness, you enjoy the wholesomeness of life and realize that you are never alone. No matter what you are experiencing, it is helpful to practice compassion, which is the ability to generate another person's conversation from their experience while still maintaining your own identity. It is effective to be able to converse with others without becoming entangled and without acting superior. Although you have achieved an advanced level in residency, it is important to be able to interact effectively with the everyday world as needed. When you are proper to the space, you begin operating with wisdom more often than you did before. Wisdom helps you navigate new spaces and understand new possibilities. With wisdom, you move in proper relationship with the universe. You are consciously an awakened being. You may feel content with the magic you are creating. You may even feel complacent, and yet there is more ahead. Level 3, Becoming. In the third space above the Waterfall of Being, you feel like you have become one with the universe. You realize that your human self is a structure that allows you to exist in this physical experience, and that your senses, your personality, your feelings, and all other human constructs are in service to being. Your human structures allow you to navigate the space of this universe, and your focus is on oneness, expressing as actions and relationships. When you live this way, you are operating as the space. Before this can happen, you must traverse the barrier between level 2 and level 3. Hitting the barrier can feel confusing and disorienting, similar to experiencing a small waterfall. You may feel like you have graduated to a peaceful existence, and then without warning, you encounter a challenge that is unique to the barrier. The challenge involves operating consistently with your human self in service to your divine self. Use your spiritual practices to filter through the barrier. Use the wisdom you have gained to navigate and operate effectively so you can continue your progress. When you progress, you find that level 3 is a pivot point. It is an adjustment period where you transition to consciously embodying your spirit being in your human form. You focus on clearing out the residue of your old beliefs and patterns. You hone your internal awareness, and you practice non-interference both with yourself and others. This means you allow what is to be as is without resorting to conflict, friction, and resistance. You cultivate understanding for how this universe works, and you are aware of laws of being. You realize that you are spiritual law in action, and harmony results from this understanding. Choices fade, and you meet the moment with grace and ease. You effectively use your internal compass to feel into how to be effective in the moment and in the situation. Because your internal operations are directed by being, you produce inspired results. You nurture space by operating honestly and with integrity. You extend the space of operation by consciously operating from the harmony of being. You create space where others can enjoy the emergence and revelation of being if they so choose. Space where people feel connected and transformed. Often you become quiet. You generally exist in stillness, and you may seem to fade into the background because of the calm you embody. You no longer require attention and validation from other people, and you are loud only when the situation calls for volume. Although you can access great power, you generally choose not to make a display of it. When and if you are recognized for wisdom. Level 4, Active Unfoldment. Unfoldment is allowing being to express through you. It involves using the operations of being to upgrade and enhance structures in the world, which leads to the results we experience. Unfoldment can also be thought of as being the space or as being the field. This is what Buddhists call becoming an empty vessel. You start to authentically experience yourself as consciousness. You operate as the space and are, for the most part, indistinguishable from the space. This happens when you are in the flow of life and time and awareness of your human self disappears. At times throughout your spiritual journey, you have likely allowed unfoldment to happen. At level 4, your approach to it changes. Prior to this space, you produce results through passive unfoldment, which means you were waking up to realizations and you spoke in terms of what you did. In space 4, you are active, which means you are consciously unfolding. You generate results not from the personal approach, but through awareness of universal processes. In this aspect, you actively allow space to be generated through you. You work with proper distinctions about the operations of the universe, distinctions about the effects and the results of actions and relationships. In other words, you understand the laws of being that govern this existence, and you consciously embody these principles as your life. You are often recognized as a healer, a teacher, or both. Using the map. The parable of the salmon navigating the river on the journey home gives us language and distinctions for discussing experiences at the different stages of progression. Being able to pinpoint yourself on a map usually leads to clarity. You see how far you have come, and you see that the challenges you are facing are appropriate for where you are. You see the underlying beauty and integrity of the process, even when the terrain is difficult to traverse. As you learn to appreciate the challenges, you gain wisdom. While your individual journey is unique, it is also universal. Any route you take, any teacher you follow, any practice you adopt will lead you to the waterfall of being, provided that route is grounded in honesty and integrity. You are not alone on this journey, even though sometimes it feels like you are. Experienced guides are available to assist you along the way. Assisting does not mean pushing you, pulling you, usurping your power, or keeping you stuck. On the journey, you must learn to follow your conscience and take full responsibility for your life and all the results you experience. There will be times when you are resting and times when you are progressing rapidly. Pace yourself by taking time to recuperate between the intervals of high activity. No matter where you are, your journey of awakening will ultimately lead to balance, harmony, and the joy of being. On this journey, you will overcome many challenges. May this map give you confidence as you progress.